Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews. I am your host Boise, and this is Raw versus SmackDown, where we look at both shows, we look at all the matches, and we see which show won for the week. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, why not like, subscribe, and press that bell so you can keep notified with all the awesome content from this channel. Now that's all said and done, let's hit the music and let's get on with Raw versus SmackDown. So we started off the show with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. They were celebrating Brock Lesnar's cash-in on Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules. This was actually quite entertaining to say the least, because obviously Paul Heyman had been telling everyone beforehand Brock Lesnar was cashing in at Extreme Rules. And like we all thought, Brock Lesnar's not going to cash in at Extreme Rules, he's going to cash in at SummerSlam or something. And there we go. Nope, we were completely wrong. Brock Lesnar is now our Universal Champion. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar got a huge amount of heat for this, which was great. Paul Heyman also hinted at his new role in the company as the new exclusive director of Raw, and the fans cheered for that. So it was kind of weird. We were booing him at first for obviously, you know, the Brock Lesnar cash-in, and then we're like, yeah, Paul Heyman's gonna save Raw. Damn it. So that was quite cool. He also said that, you know, while he was hinting at his new role at the company, he also announced a match for tonight. The main event of tonight, actually, was going to be a 10-man battle royale for the #1 contendership. So this was pretty cool. I was excited to see. It was a cross-branded one as well. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton, Big E, Cesaro, Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley, and of course the big dog Roman Reigns. This was absolutely cool. It was a good way to, you know, headline the main event for Raw, and it was just fun to see Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman having fun at the WWE Universe. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2 out of, 5 stars. I think it was a good opening. It did what it needed to do, and it also hinted at Paul Heyman's new role at the company. Next up, we had a 6-man tag team match where we saw Ricochet teaming up with the Usos, taking on Roode and the Revival, the Raw Tag Team Champions. Yes, this was also going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match, because of course it has to be, because we have to have matches which will go into televised breaks and all this. Oh god, it's just a mess with that. But it was an entertaining match. The Revival and the Usos definitely have chemistry. Robert Roode did come across slightly better in this match than I was expecting him to, and Ricochet was absolutely fantastic, because hell, he is Ricochet. This was a big win for Ricochet. He just lost the United States Championship the night before to AJ Styles, and he needed to get a quick victory, and this is what we got. So Ricochet got the first pinfall thanks to, a quick pinfall onto the Revival, which was fine. Then Scott Dawson with a face plant, which looked like it was going into the shot machine, but it didn't. It just was a normal face plant on Jimmy Uso. He pinned Jimmy Uso to tie it to 1-all. Then it really got into a competitive match with the Usos really coming out to, hitting the Revival. These two are just absolutely, these two have brilliant chemistry. These two teams, they are the two best teams on Raw right now. The Usos, in my opinion, the best tag team in the world, and it was just fun to see. Then we finally got the final pinfall, which came from Ricochet's 630, which pinned Robert Roode to get them the victory. The club did come out after this. They attacked Ricochet. Obviously, this is still hinting that Ricochet and AJ Styles will be continuing their feud in the future. The Usos tried to help fight back, but obviously Robert Roode and the Revival helped beat down the Usos in it and Ricochet, and then by the end, the club, getting their hands on Ricochet, just beat the crap out of him as well. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5, an entertaining match from start to finish, and the ending with the club coming out to continue the feud between AJ and Ricochet is just what we needed to see. So for me, I'm going to, like I stated, a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had the Viking Raiders taking on local talent. Yes, that's right. Again, we had local talent getting squashed by Viking Raiders. And this time there was no 24/7 run-ins to make it slightly more entertaining. I'm just going to give it a 1 out of 5, guys. That's about it. They squashed this local talent. Next up, we had Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander. Where before the match started, though, we had a backstage segment where Drew McIntyre was walking through the corridors. He heard some laughter. He went into the changing rooms and he saw Cedric Alexander laughing with Finn Balor and some of the other male superstars in the locker room. Obviously, Drew said, look, after Extreme Rules, I was going to put my attention back onto you, and I am now, and I'm going to show you respect. You know, I'm going to get you to show me respect, which was cool. You know, they had a good back and forth. The match itself was interesting as well. Drew McIntyre really controlled the whole match from start, well, pretty much from the start, and you expected. Drew is a lot bigger, he's a lot more powerful in the ring. The guy is, like we say, he's the Scottish psychopath. He just doesn't relent. It looked like it was going to be a helpless match, but Cedric Alexander started using his agility to try and overcome Drew McIntyre's strength and power. It did work for so time, but Drew McIntyre finally got back into control with more power moves. Cedric Alexander he overturned Drew McIntyre's own finisher to do a sunset flip to get a victory, a shock victory for Drew McIntyre. Cedric Alexander, good, massive win. I think that's his first win on Raw, so since he moved from 205. So for me, I really enjoyed this. I like that we could be seeing a feud between Drew McIntyre and Cedric Alexander. That is interesting. It's a different mix-up. Cedric is a different type of character with his speed base instead of just power moves like we've seen with Roman Reigns. And I think Drew McIntyre, yes, it is another loss for him, but him having a feud with someone like Cedric Alexander could do him the world of good. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. At first, I was like, oh yes, a classic NXT match. This is exactly what I needed to see after Extreme Rules. We didn't get that, but we got something slightly different, which was still very, very entertaining. Joe got a quick pinfall on Finn Balor, which just, you know, was shocking in itself. Then Joe, obviously frustrated for some strange reason, he's just won the match, started to try to destroy Finn Balor. Finn Balor fought back, of course he did. He's that reluctant babyface who keeps fighting till the very end. He fights off Samoa Joe a few times, which is fantastic, but Joe runs off. Finn Balor celebrating with the WWE Universe, which is always cool, and then the lights go off, it goes all weird, we just hear Bray Wyatt's laughter, and what happens? Bray Wyatt returns. That's right, Wyatt is back on Raw. He has Finn Balor and Sister Abigail dressed up in the Fiend costume. Sister Abigail close up to Bray Wyatt with a mask and everything, and I'm not joking, guys, that was terrifying. This was, you know, that is the boogeyman of WWE right now, is Bray Wyatt. So that is exciting. Rumour has it that Finn has requested some time off from WWE after SummerSlam, which could make sense. We could see Bray Wyatt versus Finn, which would be a good feud. Have Bray win, that's a big victory for Bray on his return, and allow Finn Balor to go off and recuperate for some time. I think he's requested 2 months away from WWE, which I think he needs to recoup, get back to normal, and then hit it hard when he returns. So for me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. It was a fantastic way to bring back the Bray Wyatt. I think it really pushes the Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor feud for SummerSlam as well. Next up, we had Zack Ryder versus Mike Kanellis. It wasn't going to be Mike Kanellis there. Marie Kanellis stopped him before he went out to the ring. She said, I'm going to fight Zack Ryder because I'm more of a man than you are, Mike. She goes down there, Mike stops her, he gets in the ring, one Rough Rider later, Mike's out, Zack Ryder wins, and Maria Kanellis saves the segment because I was going to give it like a 1. She pretty much, again, a absolutely terrifying promo towards her husband, absolutely destroying his mind up. It's really weird. Mike Kanellis on 205 is one of the big heels on there, and when he's on Raw, he's just literally getting his man bits destroyed by his wife on Raw. Very, very interesting. But yeah, Mike Kanellis just literally like, you know, shocked. He doesn't know what to do. But Maria Kanellis' promos again are just cutting into her husband, saying her unborn child could have won this match. So for me, I'm gonna give us a 1.5 out of 5. Next up, we had the Club versus the Lucha House Party. This was AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Karl Anderson versus the Lucha House Party. This was cool. I thought this was a great match, mainly because we got to see the powerhouses of the Club. Mainly, the Club needed a big victory. They haven't had, like, Gallows and Anderson haven't had a victory in some time, so this was what they needed to do. They were very cocky, Lucha House Party using their agility and ability to try and overcome the much stronger opponents, but that really didn't do too much. Ricochet did come involved in the match itself. He attacked AJ Styles, but he got dragged away by officials. The match got restarted, and obviously that was commercial break time, really. Gallows and Anderson and AJ Styles obviously overpowering him, and then AJ hits the calf crusher on Kalisto, making him tap out, giving the Club their first victory since reuniting. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Could be interesting to see Ricochet teaming up with the Lucha House Party. That could be an interesting partnership taking on the Club, but we'll have to wait and see. But yes, 2 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had a #1 contenders match. This was for Becky Lynch's Raw Women's Championship. The winner would take on Becky at SummerSlam. It was a fatal 4-way elimination match, which was good. We had Alexa Bliss with Nikki Cross on her side. Nikki wasn't taking part. Carmella, Natalya, and Naomi. All these women are all pretty... I think I was like, I'm pretty sure nearly all these women apart from Nikki Cross were on SmackDown like 2 years ago doing the same type of match. But maybe not an elimination chamber, but definitely like a fatal 4-way for #1 contendership. But the match itself was... It went on too long, and I can definitely understand why the crowd were getting a little bit arsey near the end, where they were just like, just get on with it kind of situation. Because look, I'm not gonna lie, Carmella got first eliminated. She tried to do a super kick, which she missed, but she got eliminated by Alexa Bliss. Naomi and Natalya. Natalya, both of them. Alexa came in with a quick pinfall for that. Then Naomi is the second to be eliminated by Natalya. Naomi tried to do a sunset flip on Natalya, but Natalya turned it around and pinned Naomi, which was fine. That left Alexa Bliss and Natalya. Alexa Bliss obviously being the cunning heel, hiding and getting out of the ring majority of this match. But Natalya did win with the sharpshooter onto Alexa Bliss. And then we had a promo between Alexa Bliss and Natalya and Becky Lynch, where Natalya was talking about how she's excited to go back to her home country of Canada to take on her friend Becky Lynch for the Raw title. Becky obviously cut a promo. She cut the man's promo, which saved this whole segment in my opinion, stating, look, friendship out aside, I don't care. When I go to war, I go to war. I'm better at war than I am a lover. And Naomi calling her the B word, and you know, saying that she mustn't be that good at making love. Okay. Yeah, it really was. The segment went. This whole match went on too long. Becky did save it with the promo, but I'm excited. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be a good match between Becky and Natalya. They're both very talented women. They both have great ability, so I'm not worried about the match. The match will be good. I'm just bothered about the elimination match itself, which wasn't that great. So I'm going to give the match itself a 2 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had Dolph Ziggler on a special episode of Miz TV. Dolph asking to be on Miz TV, and this was pretty much Dolph trying to get under the skin of the Miz. pretty much asking if the rumours are true that The Miz has just become nothing but a corporate shell of himself, where he doesn't need to try and prove himself anymore. He's just here to sell shirts and all this lot. And The Miz, you can see The Miz getting a bit irritated. You know, The Miz has worked very hard to get to a level where he is liked by the WWE Universe. I do like The Miz as a babyface. True, I do wish he was challenging for titles more often, because he is one of those guys I would love to see the WWE title on one more time. But yes, Dolph don't just attack him, he attacks The Miz's wife. That obviously snaps The Miz, and he goes after his long friend Dolph Ziggler, and that ends the segment. I can't really score this because obviously this is a build-up, hopefully, to Dolph versus Miz. But this could be a good feud. I think both guys are very good workers. I think there's a lot of chemistry there, which could definitely be one of the better matches at SummerSlam. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Hopefully they can build up on it. So for me now, I'm not going to score it just yet. Next up, we had Drake Maverick. Now throughout the night, obviously we've been catching up on Drake Maverick, and he was about to, let's just say he was about to have a good time with his wife to finally, you know what, on his honeymoon. But he got interrupted by R-Truth, and R-Truth hit the small package, and he's now the 24/7 champion yet again. But I just want to leave a picture of Drake Maverick with the 24/7 title with like a nappy, it looks like, hiding his what's-its. You know, it was a good segment. I really enjoyed it. I love the 24/7 stuff with Drake Maverick and R-Truth. I think both guys are just so fun. I think Drake's really good as champion and chase. I think R-Truth's really good at being chased. I think he's better being chased than the chaser. So yeah, I'm going to give this segment a 3 out of 5 stars. Just so funny. And this leaves us to the last part of Raw, the main event, and it was the 10-man Battle Royale. Winner takes on Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. We had all the men in the ring, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits. Yes, Brock Lesnar even came out with the steel chair. It looked like he was about to attack everyone, and then he just sits down and watches with Paul Heyman, watches the whole match. It was a very good match. We only had about 10 minutes left on the show, so they really used the 10 minutes really well. Bobby Lashley eliminated Cesaro first, and then after that, Braun Strowman eliminated Bobby Lashley. Randy Orton hit an RKO on Big E. Sami Zayn took advantage of that and eliminated Big E. Sami having a day, you know, enjoying it way too much. So Randy Orton hit him with an RKO, with Rey Mysterio hitting him with a 619, and then Randy just eliminates Sami Zayn. Baron Corbin eliminates Rey Mysterio. Seth Rollins eliminates Baron Corbin. Of course, obviously, after Baron Corbin attacked Becky Lynch at Extreme Rules, it made sense he went straight after Baron Corbin pretty much from the start of this match. Seth also eliminated Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. Both men were trying to take each other out. They were on top of the rope, and Seth looked like he was taken out with he was taken out with a spear by Roman, and then Braun, instead of eliminating Seth, went for Roman. Both men fighting each other on the side of a ring put, and then Seth gets back up and eliminates it. Seth thinks he's won, he's celebrating. Randy comes out of nowhere, tries to hit the RKO. Seth manages to dodge it. He hits the stomp onto Randy Orton. He eliminates Randy Orton, and Seth Rollins is now the #1 contender yet again for the Universal title. I really enjoyed this match, and then afterwards Paul Heyman, he cuts a promo yet again, and he goes, "That's not how you do a cross-brand Battle Royale winner," and he cuts Seth, and he does like a Brock Lesnar kind of introduction to Seth Rollins. Seth cuts a promo to both Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar gets really annoyed. He goes down with the steel chair. The officials are trying to stop Brock Lesnar, and that ends the show for Raw. I really enjoyed this. That 10 minutes only, but there was so much action, and it was so much fun, and you just didn't know who was going to win. Well, you kind of had an idea it was going to be Seth, but I think a lot of people are like, well, it could be good to see Randy have an opportunity. So I'm going to give this match a 3.5 out of 5. It was so much fun. We started off SmackDown Live with Shane O'Mac waiting for Kevin Owens to turn up to SmackDown. KO did turn up. He pretty much tells KO he needs to go home. He's not having anything to do with the show after the disrespect he showed last week. This also led on to the SmackDown's first ever town hall meeting where Shane asked the SmackDown superstars to air their grievances and, you know, anything they want to get off their chest, they could do it in this safe space. Interesting though, Drew McIntyre, AOP, I'm guessing AOP have definitely moved to SmackDown Live now. No news on that just yet. But yes, Shane asks superstars to start, you know, just say something, say what they want to say. Roman comes out first, obviously. He states that no one has any respect for Shane and he can kiss his ass. Obviously, that's all we saw of Roman Reigns on SmackDown Live this week, guys. Fantastic. He gets a lot of cheers from the crowd, and obviously Shane says, "I'm going to fine you for that." Then Charlotte Flair, Vinny asks Charlotte Flair to say something. Charlotte kisses up to Shane O'Mac, saying how the Flair family's always respected the McMahon family. Of course they have, Charlotte. Of course they have. She's interrupted by Liv Morgan, which was good. It was good to see Liv actually have a moment to shine. She did shine right here. She even asked Charlotte, is there anything actually real about you? And this will lead on to a match later on the night. Then we also have Buddy Murphy, who gets asked something. Buddy Murphy goes, I don't know why Kevin Owens put my name in when he went off on one last week, but if he ever says my name again, I'm going to slap him. Shane seemed to really like that, so he says, come and speak to me backstage. I'm sure I can work something out for you in the future. We also have Apollo Crews, who does agree with what Kevin Owens is saying. He even states that a lot of the superstars backstage agree what KO says. He's interrupted by Zelina Vega and Andrade. They state they want to challenge Apollo for what happened last time these two fought, and this again leads to a match later on. Again, using this platform to start off matches is very different. We also have the New Day trying to cut it starts off with Elias. He states he wants to say something, then he's interrupted by the New Day because no one cares. Big E calls him the biggest piece of that in the company. Shane tells them to keep it, you know, clean. They're saying, look, we don't like KO, but he's making some points. They cut Kofi's mic. Obviously, Kofi being WWE champion, he has a lot of say right now. And that's it. Shane ends the meeting. Cesaro comes out from the crowd. He's asking for a match against Aleister Black. Shane obviously agrees to give him one. And next thing we know, KO comes out of nowhere, hits the stunner, and runs off. Really, I thought this was a good start to the show. It lead up to a lot of matches which we will see on the show. I just think it was a really different way to start the whole SmackDown Live for this week. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Aleister Black versus Cesaro. Now, this match was a rematch from the Extreme Rules, which only happened on Sunday. And to be honest with you, it wasn't as good as the Extreme Rules match, but it was definitely one of the better matches we got of the night from SmackDown Live. Both guys are physically hard hitting, and that's always great to see. Both men were just literally equal from start to finish, and it was only thanks to fade to black by Aleister Black that he managed to get the victory. Again, this is one of the best moves I can state. I think there's only like a handful of moves which can come out of RKO, Trouble in Paradise, and I think, you know, Fade to Black. The three moves I can honestly think of where a superstar who, even if they're in trouble, they can literally hit it off and you can believe this will win them the match. I think Ambrose's Dirty Deeds was very similar as well for that kind of finishing. Both men were absolutely brilliant. Like I stated, a good starting show match. It definitely one of the better matches what we got on the show. But I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Not as good as what they give us at Extreme Rules, like I stated beforehand, but still very entertaining. So we had Liv Morgan versus Charlotte Flair. Again, another match which came from the Town Hall meeting. And this was interesting. I was kind of concerned. It was good to see Liv Morgan getting airtime and a match, which was nice because she's been on SmackDown since the Superstar shakeup and hasn't done anything. But it was definitely good to see her actually perform really well. And Flair, obviously the powerhouse, she is the final boss on the women's division as heel. She is the biggest heel in the company, so she will be the most difficult person to beat if Becky Lynch isn't in the room. But I really like this. Liv really worked for me, her positives. There was a lot of positives to this match for Liv. She was very aggressive. She used her agility quite well, which was nice to see. She used up a step up in Zaguri, which, you know, I still think that's one of the best moves. How is that not a finisher for some people? That for me would be a finisher. She also did a stomp to Charlotte's back. She really did control quite a bit of this match. And then obviously Charlotte Flair took advantage. Charlotte got more aggressive in the match. She power slammed Liv Morgan to the ground and converted that into a figure eight, making Liv Morgan tap out. At the end of her match, Liv Morgan linked over to Corey Graves. She took off his mic and she stated, Charlotte was right. When I come back, I will be real. So this could be interesting. I think we had a babyface Liv Morgan from the start, and I think she might be turning back to a heel Liv Morgan when she returns. The only thing I've got to say is just give Liv Morgan her own intro music. It's still the Riot Squad music, but very positive start to her career on SmackDown Live. I'm very impressed with that. And I think she's going to be one of these rising stars. Just give her these opportunities. She is fun to watch. Charlotte Flair again, just the ultimate boss heel on SmackDown Women's Division. Next up we had Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville tagging to take on... it was a tag team match and they were taking on Ember Moon and a mystery partner. Obviously Corey Graves, being the heel commentator, was saying, well, Ember doesn't have any friends, so who's she going to have? And who else was it going to be? It is the SmackDown Women's Champion, Bayley. This was actually a really good crowd pleasing moment. The crowd were happy to see Bayley perform. I think everyone was happy to see Ember and Bayley actually have a match. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville attacked Bayley and Ember Moon just at the start. The bell just rang, they attacked them, so Bayley and Ember were not ready for this. Mandy and Sonya had a lot of good double teaming. There was a lot of quick tags between the two of it before Bayley started really... She got into control of the match. The match itself was very quick. Ember Moon tried to go for the Eclipse. Sonya Deville tried to stop her, but she was stopped by Bayley with a Bayley to belly. Then, obviously, we had Ember hit the Eclipse on Mandy Rose. She gets the pinfall, and then we have a quick interview between Bayley. She's been asked, who's next? What's your next? Who do you want to see as your next opponent at SummerSlam? Bayley makes it very clear that she wants her next opponent to be none other than Ember Moon. I think this is a good call. I think Ember deserves an opportunity. She's one of the most favourite superstars on the SmackDown roster. Yeah, she hasn't really done all, but I think having a shake-up where she does challenge for the title could give her some, you know, great opportunities. So for me, I'm going to give this match, because it wasn't a long match, I think the decision to have Ember and Bayley win was right. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. Next up we had Daniel Bryan's announcement, but before Daniel and Rollins came out, the New Day turned up. They came out to the ring and they were talking about how they hold all the gold on SmackDown Live, which again makes sense. New Day think they already know what Daniel Bryan's big announcement's going to be, and they say, yeah, Daniel, you can have a rematch for the SmackDown Tag Team titles tonight against the New Day. Daniel and Rollins do turn up. They walk away. They do this several times until Daniel finally just drops the mic and completely walks away. Samoa Joe turns up and he challenges Kofi Kingston, saying, look, your posse have already said they're willing to put the titles on the line. Why don't you follow their lead and have a WWE title match against me tonight? He's quickly interrupted against Elias, who says, Samoa Joe, you're not even, you had your opportunity just this Sunday. Now give someone else a chance, and I think I should have that opportunity. Randy Orton comes out, interrupting both Elias and Samoa Joe while they are bickering, saying, I think it's been a long time since I have had that that gold around my waist. I think it's time for me to take it yet again. The New Day say, well, they just inherit the Teddy Longness, and they say, why don't we have a six-man tag team match? Player. Randy doesn't seem interested. Kofi takes the mick out of Randy being the Viper, saying he's just limp. But that obviously is disrespecting the man's manhood. He's gonna go down there, and this leads to the 6-man tag team match. I thought this was a really good back and forth promos. I thought it's interesting. We still don't know what Daniel Bryan's announcement's going to be, and you know, it's a good way to set up the next match as well. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. So like I said, it was the New Day versus Samoa Joe, Elias, and Randy Orton. The New Day were in control for this match at the start. Quick tags, all three men looking absolutely brilliant. This is the reason they are 6-time tag team champions. They just know how to work together, and it just showed. It took a long time for the heels to finally get control of the match, and that was because Randy Orton, when the referee was distracted, pulled down on Xavier Woods' hair. Woods getting distracted from that, and then Elias started overpowering him. This obviously went on for some time with Samoa Joe, Elias, and Randy Orton just beating the crap. Obviously, the babyface team started to get more and more momentum. It looked like Elias and Randy Orton were about to win this match on Kofi. Kofi hits the Trouble in Paradise on Elias, but an RKO out of nowhere leads to the babyface team losing to Randy Orton. Randy Orton not just wins the match for his team, he also pins down the WWE champion Kofi Kingston. So obviously this is definitely going to lead to Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE title at SummerSlam. I actually thought this was a really entertaining match from start to finish, and I think all 6 guys involved in this match really put on a good show. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had a Women's Tag Team Championship match where we saw the Iconics versus Asuka and Kairi Sane. This match we'd been hoping to see for some time. I was kind of hoping to see it at Extreme Rules, but we didn't get to see it. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay just didn't want this match, and it showed. Peyton tried to slap Kairi. She just wasn't going to take any of that. Her and Asuka just showing absolutely good team chemistry. Again, I just want to see them actually have a proper match. Billie Kay gets out of the ring. The referee starts counting to 10. Peyton Royce pulls her back away from the ring, and Asuka and Kairi Sane do win the match, but because it's count out, the Iconics are still our Women's Tag Team Champions. Kairi Sane and Asuka are not happy with it, so they go berserk and they take out the Iconics after the match, beating the crap out of them and walking away. It's a shame, you know. Yes, it's smart heel tactics. They don't want to do this match and all this lot, so they'll take the count out loss and still retain the titles. But my God, put the titles on the line properly, WWE. Make sure the Iconics have to defend them in some way, because this is a shame. Because I think Asuka and Kairi Sane, this is, again, they are a very much liked team on SmackDown, and people want to see them with the title. But you need to build up the SmackDown. You need to build up the women's tag team division, because it's non-existent. And right now you have 2 teams, the Iconics and Asuka and Sane, and you need to do something soon. So I'm going to give this match a 1.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Andrade versus Apollo. Again, this is another match which was set up at the Town Hall meeting. Again, very interesting. Andrade was very much in control. He attacks Apollo before the match. Apollo agrees to still continue to do the match. Andrade is literally overpowering Apollo from start to finish. Apollo manages to get a crucified pin onto him, and Apollo gets a shock victory onto Andrade. Again, if this were, I think this is really smart. They started this off at the start of the show. Andrade, obviously being built up as one of the bigger threats on SmackDown Live, gets a shock defeat by Apollo, who gets a big win for him. And interesting to see where this leads on between Apollo and Andrade in going into the future. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. And last but not least, for our main event of SmackDown Live, it was Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. Earlier on the night, Dolph went up to Shane asking for the main event of the show and said, if I can get KO here, would you agree? Shane went, yes, I want to get my hands on KO as well. He manages to get KO's number off a referee. This again was a good match. There was like again 10 minutes left. You 10 minutes for this main event, and I think they worked it really, really well. KO went for the stunner. Dolph managed to get out of it. Then he went for a suicide dive. Both guys were just going all out. This match literally neither man could put either man away. Dolph went for the Famouser, couldn't pin KO. He got out at 2. Then he went for the crossface. We even rated KO's eyes. This again, just the referee was like, no, you got to stop. Then it looked like KO was going to get the victory. Shane comes out with like a handful of superstars. I did write them down. So he had AOP. So let me get this right. He had Drew McIntyre, Elias obviously, the B team again, Shelton Benjamin, Samoa Joe, Buddy Murphy, Nakamura, AOP, Andrade, Cesaro, all come out with him to stop Kevin Owens. But the match continued as KO got distracted with Shane. Dolph went for the zigzag onto Kevin Owens. It looked like he was going to get that. He didn't get the 3 count. KO went for a stunner. He definitely got the finisher on that. And KO got dragged out by Shane. KO hits the stunner on Shane, and he runs out of the building. The match is ended in no contest. But what a match. This was actually really entertaining because KO got chased out of the building by the heels. Charlie goes and tries to interview Shane, and Shane's looking at her like, right now, literally I've just been stunned, and he says he's going to get his hands on Kevin Owens. This is great. I really like this main event. Again, a good main event. Kevin Owens is brilliant on SmackDown Live. Just keep him on SmackDown Live doing what he needs to do on the show. He is absolute gold right now. I'm going to give this whole segment a 3 out of 5 stars. Brilliant main event. And there you go, guys. That was Raw versus SmackDown Live. I think both shows again were very good. It was so hard to choose which show was the better show, but I think there was a lot more. I think there was a lot going on Raw, and I think some bits were good, some bits were bad. But the number 1 contenders match for the guys, Battle Royale, using only 10 minutes left, fantastic way. The women's elimination fatal 4-way match, terrible. It wasn't the talent's fault. It was just it went on too long, and I think if it goes on too long, the crowd's just going to lose interest. I think for SmackDown Live, you had a really good main event with Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and then Shane coming out with the heel, faction of the WWE universe, superstars. I think the Iconics versus the, Kabuki Warriors was terrible. I think Asuka and Sane deserve so much. Sane should be challenging for the SmackDown Women's title. So should Asuka. They are 2 very tired wrestlers who shouldn't be stuck in this non-existing women's tag team division. Which show won for this week? Well, I'm going to give Raw a 3 out of 5 stars. I think it was a very, very good show. Not a lot went wrong in it. And I'm going to give SmackDown a 2.5 out of 5. It was so close to being a 3, and I thought, which show? But I think with Bray Wyatt's return really, really captivated me for this week. But what was your guys' favourite part of Raw or SmackDown? Leave it in the comments below. And like I said at the start of this video, if you're new and you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and press that bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at SmackTalkYouTube. That's a U and a tube. And if you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.